All right, everybody, good afternoon. What is going on? Today is indeed an action-packed day like we all expected, like we all pretty much knew. The Seahawks are one of many teams that is clearing their roster out for the regular season, and here we are about an hour away from the deadline with a lot of moves still left to go, but a lot of moves already in the books. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happened so far, and then in an hour or so, we'll do another video with whatever they do to wrap it up. Remember, sometimes the team will get down to 53, but we won't hear about exactly what they did until sometimes as much as an hour later. I think that happened last year, so would not terribly surprise me if we end up waiting on the exact details for a little bit. Nevertheless, let's go through the moves so far in rough chronological order. And the first move of the day was not a cut. It was not a release. It was not a wave. It was a trade. That's right. The Seattle Seahawks actually make a trade. This one's surprising to me. They sent Michael Jarrell, right tackle, maybe left tackle. He is tackle. Bottom line is he was a tackle to the Atlanta Falcons for a conditional 2027 seventh round pick. Now, the condition is probably that he makes the team, that he actually makes the 53-man roster this year. But either way, 2027 seventh round pick, that is obviously not a heck of a lot of compensation, but Mike Jarrell just hadn't done that much so far. Now, I will admit I'm a little bit surprised that he got traded when we drafted him as a big-time project, somebody that we knew was going to take multiple years to be NFL ready, and we did see some intriguing signs from him last year. And other than that last preseason game, I thought he played pretty decently, but clearly the team just felt like it wasn't enough, and they moved him for very, very little. And it's better than releasing him. This way, you're freed up of a little bit of financials. You free up a little bit of cap space that you otherwise may have not been able to. And also, you're getting, theoretically, a seventh round pick back, which could be something. Who knows? But I don't know what the team plans to do from here. You can't really go into the season with one backup tackle, and right now Josh Jones is backing up both tackle spots. Maybe they like Amari Kite. Maybe they like Mason Richman. Can't say I'm enthused about either of those options, so I assume they're thinking about bringing somebody in to be your second backup tackle. And there are options out there. I'm not worried about finding somebody, but I wonder who it's going to be. And this was a little bit of a surprise to me. Moving along, we released Demarion Williams, cornerback. Had an interesting offseason. Had some high spots, had some low spots. Some people thought he was going to make the team. I personally didn't think he was going to make the team. I thought he was going to be on the edge, but he was ultimately not going to make it. And according to Matt Zenitz out there, we also released Damian Martinez, who was a guy who I did think was going to make the team. And neither guy has ultimately made it. Now, Damian Martinez, I understand he didn't have a great preseason. I understand there were multiple running backs that looked better than him. I would still be very surprised if this team actually kept Jacardia Wright over Damian Martinez. I know that Jacardia may have looked better in the preseason. Hard for me to believe there's more there at the NFL level with a guy like Jacardia Wright, who doesn't have a lot of power and doesn't have a lot of speed. There's just not much there. So as of this video, as of me recording this video, Jacardia Wright and I think Anthony Tyus are both still on the roster. We'll see if we maybe get a little bit of a plot twist there. The Seahawks would like to get Martinez on their practice squad, apparently, which, I mean, he is a rookie. So hopefully we can find a way to do this. I'm a little skeptical. Martinez was a draft pick. I know he's just a seventh round pick, but these guys don't always slip through. And there are going to be teams out there that are looking for a third or even, for some teams, a fourth running back. Some teams are going to carry four. I thought the Seahawks would be one to carry forward. So far, after right now, I would say it's a little unlikely. We also released Isis Waxter, another rookie, this one undrafted. I didn't expect Waxter to make the team. This one doesn't come as a big surprise to me, but there is something intriguing here for sure. I think the team does kind of like what he brings. They just don't have room. And Waxter is expected to be a practice squad target for the Seahawks. Hopefully we can get him. Now, what I would say is that this means that Shaq Griffin is probably safe at this point, and this means that we're going to go ahead and trust that Shaq Griffin has a decent season of football left in him. And certainly he's the guy who has the best feel for the NFL of the options we had: Demarion Williams, Isis Waxter, and Shaq Griffin. Hopefully he can still keep up with these players in the NFL, but looks like he is good to go. Jarek Reed is also waived, according to Tom Pelissaro here. I thought he had a shot, but ultimately I left him on the outside of my final 53-man roster. Hopefully he can make the practice squad. With all the injuries he's had in his career, I don't think there will be a big market for him, but I would like to bring him back because of his special teams. This probably means Ty Okada is safe. I imagine that Okada will make the team now, pretty much for sure. Hard for me to imagine anything else. And I think that's pretty much what the team has had planned for a while. So I'm not surprised. I'm not disappointed. But Reed was definitely somebody that I thought had... Oh, of course, people are calling me right now. But yeah, Jarek Reed is out of here. Hopefully we can bring him back on a practice squad. Bubba Thomas, the nose tackle, has been waived as well. Undrafted rookie from South Alabama. And it wasn't until the team released him that I realized his first name was Wycavius. So that's, I guess that's kind of interesting. I'll stick with Bubba. Maybe I won't stick with either because he's not here anymore. But he had no real chance of making the team. He was a complete lottery ticket there. We waived long snapper Zach Triner. Chris Stoll is presumably going to work his way back and be ready to go by the opener. Supposedly, he's been doing more and more work during the practices, and they believe that he's on track to be ready for the opener. I'm very, very relieved that we're not going to have to worry about a new long snapper for regular season games. But yeah, Zach Triner, the only way he was going to make the team was going to be if Stoll remained injured, and there was no room for him otherwise. You can't carry two long snappers, so we got that. Patrick O'Connell. This one was a surprise to some people. I had O'Connell right on the line. Ultimately, I landed on having him make the roster because I thought he played well in the last preseason game. But this doesn't surprise me. This doesn't shock me. This is something that I'm actually kind of, I don't want to say happy about, but this is something I'm kind of encouraged by because I think O'Connell just lacks the athletic ability to really keep up in the NFL with pretty much anybody. Even though there are some assets here that I think are commendable, I don't think it's enough to make him NFL caliber. So presumably we're going to try to get him on the practice squad, and I imagine that we will. And this means that either we're going to roll with Josh Ross as one of our backup linebackers, we're going to bump Jamie Sheriff over and have Sheriff be like an inside/outside linebacker, or we're going to go get somebody. But I actually kind of like this, even though I ultimately did have O'Connell on my final 53-man. I'm kind of into this personally. I think that he is too limited, and I think that we need to be trying to get a little bit better at a position where we are very thin. Now, this also probably means Drake Thomas is going to make the team, so I actually like that as well. But we will see. Keydrain Callaghan, corner safety, so defensive back, waived by Seattle as well, per Aaron Wilson. Maybe a practice squad guy, but obviously had no chance of making the roster. And just a few minutes ago, we got this one. So this was one of my big, bold calls that a lot of people didn't buy into. This was a very controversial one. People were coming down pretty firmly on one side or the other of this issue. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been released. We could not find a trade partner. Now, there's some guaranteed money involved here, so that sucks. We're going to end up paying Scantling some money. I don't think it's going to be that much, but it's going to be more than nothing, which obviously as a football team, you don't like playing a player for nothing. But This means that guys like Derek Young are probably pretty safe. This means a guy like a Cody White has a chance. This means a guy like Ricky White has a chance. This opens up some doors for players that otherwise would not have had a path. But I kind of just felt like Scantling had become an afterthought on the team during the training camp. And obviously, Scantling's not a bad player. Obviously, he belongs getting snaps in the NFL. But man, it just really felt like we moved on very quickly once Torrey Horton took off. And I kind of thought that it didn't make sense to keep him around to play 5 snaps a game and maybe, I don't know, maybe a few games where somebody gets hurt and he gets like 20 snaps. Scantling's better than that. Scantling deserves better than that. And we don't deserve to pay $4 million to a player who only plays that much. All right, so that is the latest and greatest as of me starting this video. Let me check the wires here real quick. Let me see if anything else has happened. Oh, okay. So let me pull this one up real quick here. This is just across the wire, so hot off the presses. Ian Rappaport has the Seahawks waiving Tyreek Smith, former 5th-round pick. Didn't expect him to make the final roster. Expect him to potentially be a practice squad candidate, but he will not be making the 53-man. Let me see if there's anything else here real quick. You got to be very, very on top of things in order to really capture stuff as it happens in this league. And it looks like that was the most recent thing. So that'll do it for the roster decisions right now. We have less than an hour to go before the deadline. Another video coming in a couple hours. See you guys soon. Go Hawks. Everybody have a great rest of your day. More videos coming in the near future.